everything is taking place simultaneously. She simply repeats the rule that causes people to lean in closer. Inform them that everything is and since the title of this catastrophe is already explosive, that word is said to land like a warning. Additionally, the internet is already handling it as if it were a verdict. However, the transcript does not begin with evidence. Tension is the first step. She's smiling, boasting, and warming up the room after a trip, and suddenly you hear the shift. She is aware that the comments would erupt when she eventually mentions the identities. Funky Tamar. Furthermore, the two don't even begin the live performance. Come on. I'm wondering what's happening to my DJ board. We only need the promise of a story. You know, before she flips the first domino, it's as if she's setting them up. Individuals in the conversation are counting patterns already. The same question is already being whispered by them. How often does Funky get into a public argument with a black woman who used to be close to him? After that, it appears as though a file is being dragged onto the screen. She transports the audience back to the moment that set off the mayhem. The post, the wound, the blood, the teeth, the kind of statement that, because it's too graphic to indulge me, makes a room become silent. However, in any case, when it came to Tamar, so they left. The next person Tamar ignores is the internet. I was in a pool of blood when I woke up. Knocked out teeth. These days, comments aren't just responding, they're picking sides. This is all an alibi, according to several observers. Funky's sequence, according to some, sounds too particular to be random. The way she presents it is also the most risky aspect, not as a clear-cut charge, but rather as a narrative based on what she heard, what others said, and what she says emerged from personal discussions. Because a story like this doesn't require a courtroom to result in a conviction once it begins. And when she adds, "Give me a second, you iron out some things here. Go ahead, Jasmine," just as they are about to reach a trit. Alright, I had a hard time writing this, but I keep getting calls. I can't even really talk anymore. To be honest, I'm so frail. On Sunday, I came dangerously close to death. My friend had a facial injury, and I was discovered in a pool of blood. It gets worse as the days pass. I lost some teeth, broke my nose, and became immobile. My current perspective on life is really different. The question lingers in the air like a threat as the screen cuts and the room resets to reveal who is coming after the break. What is the real story they're going to convey when the cameras roll if the DNA topic is the headline? Return. Only when everyone in the room understands that the subject matter is more important than the jokes does. The live show have that unsteady intensity, laughing, discussing trips, discussing not using the internet, and discussing how she didn't wish to spend the holidays engaging in family drama. However, it feels more like legal armor than comedy because of the way she keeps returning to supposedly. She even says it aloud, as a ritual, as if she's attempting to remind herself just as much as she's telling the audience. Inform them that everything is The title you gave me is framed as a definitive response, which is where the documentary's conflict begins. DNA test results are positive. Mendeecees disputes the quirky confirmation. Alright. And I was really uncomfortable with them. Alright. Now, if anyone knows who was involved and what Mendeecees and his best friend are the ones that went upstairs with, so that's what happened to your terrible teeth. I'm not sure if they ran your head through the headboard or washed your ass from behind. Alright, however, the transcript itself is not a clear presentation of the evidence. Rather, it is a steady build into the more subdued quirky crash. It's more akin to witnessing someone open a folder, take out disorganized documents, and say, "I'll get to the section you came for." But she reminds the audience, she's back, she's refreshed, she's got two shows, as she sets the stage with chaos and confidence for the first part of the performance. First, understand the machine. She has champagne and exclusives, and it's amusing on purpose because that's how she keeps listeners interested long enough to get through the heavier sections. Then she talks about the war she's been fighting in the background, which isn't at all entertaining. She mentions court and boasts about a victory, because she talks about subpoenas, records, logins, and phone data technologies that transform your private existence into proof. She recounts an instance in which a person approached a judge in an attempt to obtain access to phone records, email records, login credentials, passwords, and even carrier data across several networks. She compares the judge's reaction to a door slamming shut. Not only is it a victory, but it's also a warning. There are people out there who want to reach into their phones instead of merely dispute with bloggers. She says this in a smug, exuberant tone, as if she's proud that served the effort. But she's also letting you know that she has a deeper understanding of the game than most viewers will. She even points out that while individuals may continue to bring up previous cases, Time passes and her platform continues to grow. "You can't scare me with paper anymore," she says to the crowd. And that matters because she adopts the stance of someone who believes she understands how stories turn into lawsuits. When she subsequently turns to Funky and Tamar, she is skilled at avoiding certain terms, knowing when to use, allegedly, and navigating assertions without giving the audience the impression that they are hearing something that is prohibited. She then begins preparing the audience for the actual topic by mentioning Funky by name early on, almost as if she wants to see how the audience responds, and her framing isn't impartial. She begins to rhetorically list the number of black women who have been used and dragged, expressing her indignation, incredulity, and disgust. She describes how many people were in the spotlight with him before to the aftermath, but she doesn't refer to it as a pattern. She claims that before witnessing what he just did, she was on the verge of reaching out and offering condolences. That stopped her cold. It's crucial because the documentary isn't just about Tamar, it's also about betrayal, trust, and how a friend can make headlines. She makes a powerful argument, like a dagger wrapped in sarcasm. She claims he's attempting to reframe the relationship so it doesn't appear as like he's dragging a friend again. Friends don't give birthday parties for friends to get to know you. In her cadence, she is reacting to a culture of viewers who believe they already know the story. She is feeding that culture and is aware of it. He is manipulating optics. And the comments, even though we can't completely see them, are implied. And she does something that changes the mood, drawing the spectator into a more subdued period through recollection, voice, tone, and receipts rather than a clear timetable. She claims that Tamar got online following Funky's birthday celebration, Party at Live. She says that Funky's mood is obvious, wearable, and recognizable, as if the vibe was off even before the controversy occurred. She adds her own thoughts about why he's constantly in a mood, but she keeps it in the lane of attitude and behavior. However, when the injury post occurs, she doesn't simply quote it. Instead, she uses Jasmine Reddit as a courtroom exhibit. Suddenly, it's no longer just rumors circulating. Jasmine reads, "I was found in a pool of blood, fractured my nose, lost some teeth," using the precise words that served as the basis for everything that followed. The first anchor is that every theory has a place to attach itself once you've established that anchor. She clarifies that Funky became angry because he believed Tar didn't do anything to Tamar, as well as because people suspected him of doing anything to Tamar. Move quickly enough to clear it up. Next, she defends Tar, saying that she had no idea that he was being dragged. Finally, she adds a detail that shapes the whole relationship. She claims to have had a personal conversation with Tamar. She portrays herself as someone who is close to Tamar rather than merely offering opinion, but she doesn't do it in a tidy manner. She shows herself as a messy human. Conflict. If you're Funky and you care about reputation and public narrative, you feel abandoned. If you're Tamar and you're hurt, bewildered, and weak, you're not living on the internet watching who's being blamed. In the comments section, she adds, "The thriller tone deepens when the internet points at you and the person closest to you stays silent because it's not about what happened yet, but about what people think happened and how quickly those thoughts become facts." Another important fact is that, according to the transcript, Funky stated that the only thing they discussed was Tamar phoning Dr. Heavenly to have her teeth corrected, symbol, a friend who claims he's being pulled, and a friend who needs a dentist's number are examples of commonplace, even trivial details that people hold to because they seem genuine. Then she introduces the larger machinery. She begins by characterizing Funky's fanbase as strange, a relationship in which the fans are aware that he doesn't truly like them, but they continue to watch him because he is knowledgeable. She mentions that he drags black women and speaks harshly to them. She also adds that others are now making fun of him because he must be treated by nurses from 9 to 5. All of this is setting the tone. Oh, this isn't a community. It's a volatile crowd circling a volatile personnel. Then she moves on to the section where she begins to express her own view and opinion, labeling it as such. She says she thinks Funky is speaking the truth about what he saw, but she also thinks he waited for a moment, a life or death moment, to express it. She refers to it as Armageddon time, but she keeps framing it as a psychological trigger. When someone goes through something intense, the mask slips off, the old agreements dissolve, and suddenly secrets become currency. It's in the category of commentary rather than proof. It's still story, vibe, and analysis. This is where Section 1 aligns with the title you provided because, despite the transcript you've pasted, there isn't a real DNA test. The public is eager for a clear response, whether favorable or negative, and the